Hey guys, Glue Stick FX here with my first ever video tutorial. I'm going to show you guys how to make this wound today, but first I'm going to have to show you how I prep glue sticks in order to sculpt with them. So what you're going to need is a plastic bag. I just use the cheapest Ziploc bags available. You'll also need your glue sticks, obviously, because otherwise you have nothing to sculpt with, because you're too cheap to buy liquid latex or scar wax. And then you'll need something to scrape at the glue stick with. I use the back of a butter knife, but anything else flat and hard should do. And then you will need a pair of scissors, or you can just cut the bag with a knife or your teeth, whatever you want. So first, you are going to open up your plastic bag and fumble with it for a few minutes because you've never done this on camera before. Then you're going to take your glue stick, open it up, and you're going to start scraping away at it with the edge of your butter knife or whatever you're using. Scrape it in really thin layers, otherwise it will be lumpy and it won't sculpt as smoothly and you won't be able to blend the edges as well. Then you're going to put it in your plastic bag, and you'll just repeat that process until you have the entire glue stick all smushed up in there. Then you want to just sort of force it all down into one corner of the bag. It's really simple to do this. And then you'll just twist off that corner of the bag, so it's sort of like a little piping utensil. And then just cut off the excess. You don't have to do that, but I just find it a lot easier. Then cut the very corner off so that you can squeeze the glue stick out of there. I cut too much off here, actually. I prefer a slightly smaller opening, but I was trying to make it look good for the camera, and so I fucked up. But there you go, that's the prep for that. So now we'll move on to our wound. I start with a lip liner, I think that is. Anything that will draw on your skin safely. I just use it to mark out the general shape of my wound. Then you're going to want to take a paintbrush and some PVA glue, which is just your basic white craft glue. This will allow the wound to peel off, so I highly encourage this. You're going to want to just lay down some of that PVA over wherever you're putting your wound, and then take your paintbrush and just smooth it down. The more that you smooth it down, the nicer the edges are going to be later on. So you're going to let your first coat dry, and then you're going to go in and do a second coat, which I've sped up the footage for all of these because, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory to repeat coats. So you're going to do your second coat, let that dry, go in for the third and final coat. If you wanted to apply tissue paper in order to create texturing, this is the step where you would do it. I wasn't doing any for this one, though. So to make the actual wound, you need your glue, and you need something to sculpt with. That was a little sculpting tool that I got from a friend. I don't even know what it is, but you're going to start with your glue, and you're just going to start building it up along the edges of the wound. And, you know, it's always good to make sure that your wound is, like, partially off screen when you're doing this for a video tutorial. God. I have no skills with, like, recording this shit, by the way. So, sorry. So you're just going to build it up, and you're going to want to have enough that you can actually smooth it down to your skin so that it doesn't look like you just stuck something on top of it. And then you're going to just start pressing it down and smoothing it out, blending the edges. If you have more skill than me, this might take less time, but I've sped up the footage here so that you don't have to watch me repeat the same little movement over and over and over again for like 5.5 minutes. But yeah, just sort of smush it until you're happy with the shape. A lot of this is just what you want to do. I like to peel the edges back sometimes. Other wounds, I like them to be blended down in the middle, but it's up to you. Do what feels good. You can also sort of smooth out any little ridges that are left afterwards by taking the tip of your finger and dipping it in water and then just rubbing it. But this is what your wound is going to look like after you've sculpted. So you want to let that dry for a few minutes, and then you want to take your foundation. Now, I don't actually have foundation that matches my skin tone because I'm too cheap to buy decent foundation. So I use 2 liquid foundations that balance out to be close to my skin tone, and then a powder on top of that. And then a little brush and a makeup sponge are helpful for application. So you're going to take your foundation, put it on the end of your makeup sponge, and then just sort of go to town on that. I am not the best at makeup application, so other people, I'm sure you can probably do it better than me. But just sort of go around, make sure you've applied foundation pretty evenly to the wound and to your skin. I find it's easiest to sort of make it blend if you just paint your entire skin with the foundation. So I went back in with the powder base. I probably didn't really need to do this just because of how much blood I apply at the end of this, but it's a nice touch sometimes, and it sort of sets the liquid a little bit. I'm sure there are more professional ways of doing that, but, you know, I'm not professional. So that's your wound without any blood at all. And the next step is the fun step, which is taking your blood. And this is just cheap fake blood I bought around Halloween. I got like half a liter for $7. And I let some of it thicken up in that little tub so that it applies a little nicer. You're going to take a paintbrush, just dip it in there, and then start spreading your blood around on that wound. And if you were sort of like reserved about your wound, you're like, oh, I don't know if I did too well, I don't know how it's gonna look in the end, I always recommend just throwing a lot more fake blood on it. Because honestly, we're here, we're just making gore stuff. No one really cares how accurate it is if you're just doing it for fun. So just go ahead, spread some blood on it. I like to go a little over the top sometimes, but who's gonna complain? And if they do complain, fuck them. Just enjoy what you're doing. So for this one, I did pool a lot of blood actually in the wound, and it sort of dripped out when I was photographing it. But that's not bad. That's totally okay. You can just run with that. And then my personal favorite thing to do is to take a toothbrush, not one that you are brushing your teeth or any other living being's teeth with. Dip the tip of it in the blood, and then just sort of spray it with your thumb. And I just really like the blood splatter effect. I have so much fun doing it, but make sure that you're doing it like in the bathroom or over a towel, because you might have nicer fake blood than me, but my fake blood stains, and this will go everywhere when you're doing this. So, you know, try to keep cleanup as minimal as possible for yourself. So yeah, just apply your blood, spray some blood, throw whatever you want on there, and then you have your wound. Simple as that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I know that I probably didn't make the most sense in it, but maybe I'll do another one at another time that I actually think out a little better. Bye-bye.